Thank you,
Thank you,
snowboarding.
snowboarding.
Thank you, snowboarding.
Hey friends, welcome back to Thank You Snowboarding. We hope you enjoyed season 1 and are very much looking forward to season 2. This is the podcast where we celebrate UK snowboarding, its culture, its history, and where it's going, with the idea to get you frothing for some mountain time on your snowboard. Yeah, well, hope you've had a good summer. We are very stoked to be doing another season in association with the Snowboard Asylum, who are celebrating their 35th anniversary this year, and I will talk to you more at the end of this show about that. But it's exciting times, and there's been a lot going on already. We've already had the ski show, we've already had a gallery showing, loads of old prints up in London, some of which are available to buy, and the proceeds go to Calm. But again, more about that at the end. So yeah, this podcast celebrates all things UK snowboarding, from the earliest guys building boards up in Scotland in the 80s to where we are now with the current crop of shredders dominating the world scene, you might even say. But for this episode, we are going back to someone who has had a big influence in the sport, sort of in front of the scenes and behind the scenes. From early days riding dry slope along with Steve Bailey, to writing for White Lines, getting photos published in Transworld Snowboarding, to renovating a house in the Three Valleys and calling that his home most of the time now. I'm, of course, talking about Chris Moran. The eager listener will know that his post often comes here whenever I'm interviewing people. Well, on one of those post-picking trips during the summer, we decided to sit down and get it done. And this is a very rambly episode, which was so fun. Chris is a very old friend of mine, which I'm very proud to say that as well. He's always good company, and yeah, we recently did a little road trip up to the ski show, which was fun too. Chris Moran worked for White Lines, I think I've just said, and basically he is a guy who seeks adventure in life. He seeks opportunities that are going to provide him with fun and adventure, and if those opportunities aren't present, then he's very good at creating opportunities where he's going to push himself, he's going to find an adventure, he's going to have some fun, and hopefully has some stories to tell. So yeah, this is a really rambly episode. We cover lots of bases. And we start off by, I think we're looking at issue 1 of Snowboard UK, and a very odd advert kind of caught Chris's eye, and that is where we start. And hold tight, this episode goes all over the shop. Enjoy.
Look at this advert for the freestyle shop. It's just someone being offered what looks like a slice of salmon. What the fuck is that all about? Who is that guy? No context, nothing.
I don't know. It's pretty good though, isn't it? Like, that was the great thing about, like, you literally do what the fuck you wanted.
Yeah.
I guess it's probably some sort of food reference to some sort of snowboarding trick, I'm assuming.
Well, it says performer AZ, the FS Shepherd. FS Hintertux Summer Tour 1992. Filleted freestyle manoeuvre. I think it's a schnitzel. I think it's just someone offering him a schnitzel. It's so fucking random. That must mean something to someone. Probably like 3 people.
Probably like Mark Webster's behind it or something.
Yeah. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. It was.
So where were you when the first issue of Snowboard UK came out? Like, what stage in your career were you at already?
First issue of Snowboard UK?
Yeah.
Well, I remember the inserts, because it was in... Was it in Rad? or skate. It was in a skate magazine, and I've got those.
Have you?
Yeah, it was in the. Where was I? Well, I would have been in Manchester, I reckon.
At school, or were you out of school by then? Must have been in school.
It's got to be 1990, so I think I would have just been just in sixth form.
A levels. What A levels did you do?
What A levels did I do? I cannot remember what fucking A levels I did. Don't ask me that. I don't know. I know Steve Ailey was doing an apprenticeship in a place near me. I think he was working for like an air conditioning unit or something.
Right.
And we and then we ended up getting we worked on the M62 motorway.
Really?
For a summer, yeah. Me and
Doing...
Steve. Our job was to basically to make concrete cubes. We'd get these concrete pours in on the build, and we would make little cubes, and then they'd get sent off for testing.
I know. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. So
Yeah,
you have a record of whether the concrete's good
exactly.
enough or...
You have to smash it all up if it's no good.
Yeah.
Something like that. But we were essentially like the engineer's assistants,
Yeah.
and it was a fucking pretty sweet job because we got paid time and a half if it rained. Bearing in mind this is Manchester, whoever came up with that fucking rule didn't think it through. That spreadsheet, there must have been like estimated days raining.
That was designed in London, right?
four in the summer. No, every day it rained. It rained so much, in fact, that there was on the building site was massive. It was like the M62 extension. We built a bridge over the ship canal. I say we, right?
Yeah, I was going to say
we were teammates.
Your input was minimal.
Me and Steve, we built this big bridge. And when it rained also, like, no one wanted to do any work, so we'd just sit in the cabins, in the porter cabins, just listening to these older men, I mean, we were like 16, 17, telling the most outrageous stories about how they'd ripped off the construction firms that they'd worked for over the course of their careers. Remember one of the guys told us about, because Liverpool had been a shithole, you know, for quite a while, and they had redone all the docks. I don't know if you know Liverpool, but they'd redone all.
I know the docks from obviously Richard and Judy.
Exactly, yeah, you know,
fame, and the weather map,
and the weather map on floating in the dock.
Yeah,
so that had recently been done up, and most of the guys that were working on the thing had come from there.
Right.
So they had all these mad stories about. So they basically dredged the docks. The docks obviously go back, you know, hundreds of years. And at one point, they'd found this, what they thought was maybe an anchor. It was something that was solid. They'd sent a dive team down to see, and they reckoned it was worth salvaging, right? So they'd spent a week. They'd got in Europe's biggest floating crane, right, at a cost of 50 grand a day or whatever, and they'd salvaged this thing.
Yeah.
It happened to be like a massive old anchor, and then they scrapped it, and they each got like £2,000. That was their work that week. Nothing on the project. They just spent the company's money. They'd spent like $500,000 just to pocket £2,000 each, which they probably went and spent on God knows. It was nuts listening to them do this thing. But Steen had this. We had this chart on the wall, and we'd turned like Monday morning and then Friday afternoon. So it was like the working week that we would get, and we worked out that each day would be enough for us to survive a week in the winter.
Right.
We could make enough money in each day to.
Yeah.
So whenever we got, sick of work, we would look at the time and it'd be like, oh, it's going to be like a Wednesday afternoon. We're going to finish snowboarding. We're going to be, getting a Schamburger or whatever.
Yeah.
And that helped us through doing that.
So how did you? So what got you into snowboarding?
What got me into snowboarding?
Because I guess it was back. If it's before the magazines, then it must have been quite an oblique thing to find.
80s, baby. Yeah, it was the 80s.
I've heard rumours that you were quite the American influence kid.
Well,
back in the day.
No, I suppose. Well, so I do have an American family. I've got my auntie emigrated there in the 60s, and so in the summer of 87, I think it was, or 88. No, it would have been 88. My nan took me to they actually lived. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but they went to Santa Cruz, or just inland from Santa Cruz.
Your nan, who's now 104.
102. She was 102 this year. Yeah. So she took me to California in the summer of '88. We spent all summer there in Boulder Creek, and my cousin Jay is like the same age as me, and he was really into skateboarding. I'd been getting into skateboarding, but there is like, you know, I mean, it was literally the centre of like the Bones Brigade. We went, you know, it was amazing. Summer we went to Embarcadero Square and all those kind of skate spots that we'd seen in actually I hadn't seen the videos because they weren't really out in the UK, but we watched them on, you know, on his video player or whatever. And we did a load of skateboarding, and then for some reason we went to Tahoe. We went to Lake Tahoe, which is really cool, right? I mean, you know, I didn't know any of this stuff existed. I had no idea, right? And and I'd been on a school skiing holiday when I was about 12 or 13, and I loved it. You know, obviously, just
where did you go? Do you remember?
You know what? We went to. I've tried to work it out boringly years later, and I couldn't tell you. It was somewhere in Italy, but I think it was in the Dolomites because the instructor was Austrian, and but it was one of those. You know, it would have been the cheapest place to go for the school. Yeah,
we went to ZLMZ, and I remember like the food was just like this kind of soup.
Right.
With bits in it.
It's goulash.
And that was pretty much what we had every night.
Yeah.
But it was cheap and it got you there, so who gives a shit, right?
Who gives a shit, right? All I remember is that, and bizarrely, we also went with another school. So there's two schools merged together, which was brilliant. Imagine, you know, we were kind of too young to the older kids might have been doing some snogging or whatever, but we were just, we were into, I remember being into, what's the name of that song? Europe's The Final Countdown was out.
Fuck.
As was Whitesnake's Here I Go Again.
Here I Go Again.
And my God, that was the soundtrack to the, like everywhere we went was just playing that. So whenever I hear that, I think of...
my first gig was Whitesnake.
Your first
Here I Go Again.
Wow.
Wembley Arena.
Oh my God. I mean, it's a tune.
It's a tune.
I don't know many of the other songs, gotta be honest.
I remember recounting this story outside a pub in Islington.
All right.
And the guy who worked there, like this fucking young punk with loads of hair and stuff, and you know, ripped off sleeves on his thing, came over and was just like, "David Coverdale's a dude." And I just remember thinking, "Fucking hell, man! Like, what's this about?" But he wasn't.
That is quite a good first gig.
It's not bad, is it?
Yeah. Yeah. My first gig was Aha.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's just trumped mine.
No, yours is better. Yours is way cooler. Well, I went with my neighbour, me and Gareth, and we were dead young. And I remember it being us and just like people that look like my mum. there was no other A, men, B, anyone under 30.
I was always really fucked off because I could never grow, like my hair doesn't grow long, it sort of grows big.
Right.
And obviously you go to a concert and everyone's got fucking long hair and I was like, oh man.
You'd have been perfect in the...
Never gonna get there with a long hair.
Massive in the Europe / Whitesnake world.
Yeah, but mine doesn't do that thing. It just looks like the fucking Don King. So just never happening.
How much did you experiment with... because I remember when Coming to America came out and it was that Soul Glow.
Yeah.
But that stuff, obviously, you know, maybe in America, but you couldn't get that shit in the UK. You could get that gel, you know, the kind of clear gel.
The fucking tub of it that you go...
The tub, the VO5.
Yeah, I went in hard on that for a while. My hair used to be like, you could fucking snap it. Do you know what I mean? It was so much of it. And
you could get hairspray, but hairspray would have just, all it would have done was, well, you'd been tricky to get through a doorway.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
So what were you must have experimented, you know? Yeah,
I just don't know what I wanted to achieve. I guess I would have hoped to have achieved like a bit later. I think once I gave up on the rock look, right, then it was like Beverly Hills 90210. I wanted some sort of slick looking thing. And again, but you know, you go to the hairdressers when you're that age and it's just a car crash, isn't it? Because you want to look cool, but Mikey, the old Greek boy that's doing it for like £2, he's not going to make you look cool. He's just going to do a haircut.
Yeah, he's going to do what he wants. He or she wants. Yeah. Yeah, my mum used to give me like £1, and I had to go to this like little shed next to Brooklands tram stop in Manchester.
But you've had some hairdos, haven't you?
Well, I generally leave it to grow until it's too much of a pain in the arse, and then I go and get it pretty short. I go with that. There's a weird graph. With my
it's like my
haircuts.
beard. I do that.
Yeah.
I do the same with my beard.
Yeah, till it's too much, and then you just
shave
go.
it.
So I don't. There's a period where it's 3 weeks after it's cut where I'm like semi alright.
Yeah.
Well, I should keep it like this. Never do.
So heading back to the 80s.
Wow.
So
Whitesnake.
So you went to Tahoe. I mean, that's a nice.
It's cool.
That's a result, isn't it?
Yeah, it was really cool. It was in the summer though, so there was not. Yeah. But I remember we went into it. So I don't know where it was, but we went into a skate shop in Tahoe. Me and my cousin, and Tahoe, unbeknownst to me, was the centre of snowboarding at that time.
Well, that was like Barfoot.
Yeah.
And
Sims
would have been around there as well, wouldn't it? So
yeah, and all the legends. I mean, we didn't meet anyone that snowboarded, but we saw snowboards on the wall.
Yeah.
And they had like the first magazines that we'd seen. I didn't even know snowboarding existed.
Right.
But I saw it, and as soon as I saw the snowboard, I was like, because I loved the skiing trip.
Yeah.
And I'd been skateboarding, and I was just like, this is great. But and I knew what it was. When I saw it on the wall, I was like, I know that's a board for snow. I didn't know it was called snowboarding. Yeah. But I just knew, and then I got the magazine, and I bought a couple of magazines, and all I wanted to do was snowboard from then on.
Just something about it caught your...
Totally new. It just, my brain was like, that's it. And then when I got back to Manchester, Split Skates, which was the shop in Manchester where it's like the centre of the Manchester skate scene. The family that owned it were really cool. It was, and like strangely for the time and for the sport, it was a black family.
Right.
Granville, I think his name was. I can't remember his name. And he had anyway, there was a really cool family that ran this skate shop, and it had like a kind of hangout area.
Yeah.
And with video games and stuff like that. So it was like everyone spent their Saturdays basically there because it fucking rained all the time, so no one could go skating. And he was a bit of a genius, to be honest, that guy. Anyway, he had also seen snowboarding. So when I got back, there was a couple of snowboards for sale, like the first Sims snowboards.
Yeah.
For sale. Well, I know it was the guy that worked there. Dave. I forget his name now. Anyway, so I was like, right, that's what I want to do. So I got a job at Split Skates.
Nice.
To pay off the snowboard.
Yeah.
That I wanted to buy. And Steve Bailey also got a job. I didn't know Steve. That's where we met.
So that's where you met?
Yeah, we met.
No
he
way.
started working at the shop about the same time as me. And it was just filled with loads of other kids. We were 14, 15. And we all, they were just kind of skating. And so the owner of the shop, because he'd got these snowboards, he was like, I'm going to try and start a scene. So he got a minibus and he started taking us up to the dry slopes. And that's how the few of us were like, yeah, we really like this.
Yeah.
And so we started. He didn't do that for that long, like 3 or 4 trips.
Yeah.
But there was enough that it was like, right, there's a little snowboard crew here.
So that was, where was that? Rosendale?
Rosendale, yeah. Although the first time I actually ever went snowboarding was in, because when I was paying off the board, I went into the shop once and I was going, like, I'd go in and give like a $5, like I just, and I remember going in and the guy was like, he said, I've heard it snowed in the Lake District. And he said, if you want, you could take your board, No
way.
And I literally took the board and got on a train there and then.
Yeah.
And I went up to, like, in my school uniform, and I had no snowboard boots, nothing. And I went up to, like, near Windermere on the train. I don't know how, I must have phoned my mum somehow, I can't remember. And I stayed in a youth hostel and I went snowboarding the next day.
No way.
Yeah. And I'd never done it. I obviously couldn't do it. And I got, I cut my school trousers trying to climb over a barbed wire fence, and it was pretty fucking weird. It was a really weird thing to do, but I did it. And And that would have been, so that was kind of. But then afterwards, we started going to dry slopes, and then we all learned together, and that was much better. So the very, very first time, really weirdly, was on snow in the Lake District.
No way, that's so crazy. And it's also crazy that didn't put you off, if anything.
I remember being frustrated that I couldn't do what I wanted to do, but then I just thought, but it was still like I was able to straight line, to a point. It was pretty much all I could do. And I, you just stoked on. I just wanted to do it. It was pretty, And I also I remember going into a shop and they also had like a poster in the Lake District. I can't remember what the shop was called. They didn't sell snowboards, but they had a poster of Terry Kidwell, and he was going off this massive cliff, and it must have been shot in like 87, 88 or something.
Yeah.
But it's a big old cliff. And I remember seeing that and being like, it's a sign, thinking, I want to do that.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
So how did it develop after that? Like, you started going to the dry slope. Were you the only people there, or was there sort of other people coming in from different areas?
Yeah, well, we were... So at the beginning, Rosendale would only let us go on the nursery slopes. They weren't interested in, But they were quite cool. It was run by pretty young people, and so we ended up being friends with them.
Yeah.
I'd say the kind of people that ran Rosendale, there was one guy, he must have been 17 years old, and every time we went to see him, because obviously we had no money, so no one could buy anything. Luckily, it was run by the council or whatever, and he was the person that was like...
Okay, so he didn't have any skin in the game.
No, what he did have, though, is a brand new tattoo every time we went to see him. And it was done by his mate Kev, who'd bought a tattoo gun, and they were like the shittest tattoos. Like literally it would say like, Kev was here on each word on each finger. It was mad what he was doing to his body. God knows what he looks like now, but that was what we were dealing with, and he let us go snowboarding for free. Fucking thank God. Without people like that, we wouldn't have been able to do it. But we just kind of got, it progressively got, and then a few people turned up at Rosendale because it's actually a decent dry slope, and so Johnny Barr turned up. I remember him arriving one day, and we were like, "What? There's other people that snowboard?" We had no idea that there was other people that snowboard, and then he told us about this, like there's competitions, So we went to either Stoke or Birmingham or something like that. I can't remember which one it was, but we went and we met. Suddenly there was like 30 people that were snowboarding in this competition, and it was like, wow, this is mad. There's girls who snowboarded. Who knew? And it just all took off from there. Really, it was good. Yeah,
that's crazy. That's crazy. Like speaking to Stuart Hamilton about the fact that just being the only person that sort of does it, or there's two of you, and then suddenly finding somebody else. Like you had no idea, there was no scene or there was no way of communicating amongst you. You didn't know people out there, and then seeing them. That must be quite a... I remember seeing like you got the first Snowboard UK there. I remember seeing that in Charing Cross Station.
Right.
Just thinking, being like, oh my God, this is a thing. Like, again, I think I'd seen someone doing it on a school skiing trip. This guy, just like, and I was straight away like, now this is all brilliant, and that's the thing. But not knowing there wasn't anyone doing it at our local dry slope. Well, no. I think one girl turned up once with a Burton M6, and I just remember thinking, fuck, like, there's a board. Like being like in awe.
Wow.
And and then seeing the magazine in Charing Cross, like in the middle of London, and just thinking, oh, this is a thing.
There's other people doing this.
Like,
so because I knew that there was a scene because I bought this American magazine, but I didn't know any of that existed in Europe. Never mind the UK.
Yeah.
So I knew it was out there, but and obviously there was, I'd bought a Sims snowboard, so there was but everyone I knew was just the guys that so there was, Jamie and Paul and Steve, And yeah, I mean, how lucky was that, right? Because
Yeah.
you know, Steve was really good and he was really, really motivated. So he just dragged us all to go snowboarding all the time.
Right.
And that's, you know, so we did. And then a few other people randomly kind of, you know, I think people were slowly finding it. So after, yeah, maybe like 1991, well, when we realised there was a little scene, and then, you know, people were like, oh, we're going to this dry slope and we're going to, and there wasn't just contest, there was always like, oh, somebody's having a party.
Right.
So we could go and, you know, so we ended up sleeping a lot in like random people's houses and sleeping in board bags and sleeping in
Has anyone ever slept in a board bag? I mean, I've tried it.
I've done
and
it.
It was fucking uncomfortable.
So
they're just really not quite big enough.
No. Yeah.
But you can say that you've...
I have.
Well, fair play to you.
Yeah.
It's obviously a level of discomfort I wasn't willing to deal with.
We were well up for. So there was a guy, like a slalom skier, I've absolutely no idea of his name, who went to Rosendale quite a lot. And he was, I mean, he must have been 20 years old, but we were 15, so he was like an adult.
Yeah.
And he used to say to us, like, oh, I'm going to Aviemore. Do you want to come up for the weekend? And we'd go up in his knackered Astra, and he'd stay in a hotel, and me and Steve would stay in his Astra, and we'd go snowboarding for the weekend. And we thought that was like the best thing ever.
It's still a mission from Manchester though, isn't it? Up to Aviemore. I mean, it's still like what, 5-6 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, that's no small thing. Like being that age and your parents are cool with you going off and doing it, and
yeah.
I mean, like to do something that's essentially got no. It's not like now where they're into that. There could be a future or something. Like back then, it was just nothing, was it? It was just a fun pastime.
Yeah. Yeah, we kind of didn't think of that because you don't think of it as from the parents' perspective. But yeah, we were definitely, we had a lot of freedom. But then, you know, we essentially left home at very, very young. So from 16 onwards, we were just, you know, we started doing, well, I think seasons was 7.
When did you do your first season?
Well, I was talking about this to someone the other day. So I randomly ended up having my own flat. It's got a long, boring story, but I got into some trouble in the flat because these guys that were trying to, like, we had a party, and some people I didn't want at the party. They were trying to, like, you know, they were slightly older boys, and they were being a bit dickish. And I mean, I was like 16 or 17, and so I phoned the police, and the police came. And the police said, you've got to show us who you want to throw out of, you know, the house.
Yeah.
Which was terrifying, but I did it. And anyway, later that night, they saw some friends of ours and they beat them up, and they said, oh, we're coming back for you. So we were shitting our pants. And, but luckily, we had met. So Steve and I were going to go, and Jamie were going to go to Chamonix anyway, because we'd had this holiday booked. So we went to Chamonix and we met with all the guys that were working at Boardwise, you know, or Grand Prix.
Oh yeah, Grand Prix as it would have been.
Yeah, in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And they had all gone to do a season, plus a few of their mates, and there was 10 of them living in a caravan in Chamonix.
Fucking hell.
And when we got there, and with invited people, I mean, you know, three of us, we turned up. So it was exactly as you'd imagine. It was just chaos. So anyway, we got there, and one of the guys had broken his wrist, so he was going home. And I was like, oh man, I might buy his lift pass and his bed.
Yeah.
So I bought his lift pass and his bed for 50 quid.
Even with inflation, that's fuck all.
It was cheap back then. And well, when I say bed, it wasn't a bed on its own. Yeah. It was actually a double bed
with
that 3 of us were in.
Sweet.
But one of them had got a girlfriend, so I never saw him. And but me and Pete Turvey shared a double bed for pretty much the rest of that season.
Pete Turvey was there. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Pete Turvey was in my bed. It was in our bed.
Nice.
It was his bed. I got in his bed, and that was the best thing ever. I couldn't believe how cool that was. So I just stayed. I was like, I'm not going home. Don't want to go home. Not going home.
Were you hooked up with anyone at that point? Like,
yeah, Burton. So that was the thing.
Because you'd done like there's the famous pictures of you and Steve hitting like the kickers at the same time on dry slope, and like you were a bit of a double act, weren't you?
Well, I mean, Steve was just so good, and he just dragged everybody. And I was just lucky. I was going riding with him all the time, so we got hooked up with Burton pretty early on, just because. Almost like second. I mean, that first contest, I don't think Steve won it, but he would have come second or something. I came about, I don't know, third or fourth. I don't really remember. But then the next summer, we just won everything. Yeah. Because we were just going all the time. We were going like 3 or 4 times a week. I mean, we just didn't do anything other than snowboard. Yeah. And then we started going. Then we were going doing seasons in Chamonix, and so we were getting pretty good at snowboarding. And Burton gave us. Snowboards. They didn't give us money at the beginning, but they gave us snowboards and loads of kit, and we sold that. So well, I mean, you're laughing.
Sold some of it.
Sold some of it. Yeah, we didn't need much. We were quite frugal kids, and I also had a pension because
fucking go on.
I'd been given a pension book by the DSS. It's quite a long story, but and I worked at McDonald's how
many stars did you get?
I don't remember. I know Matt Barr got 5 stars.
Yeah, of course he did.
Kiss ass. But you got more money for stars. That was the thing.
Yeah, well, this is it.
Yeah. I don't know how many stars I got. I set fire to the place once because I didn't turn the fryer off when I emptied it. That was a scary moment. But so I might have been docked a star. I don't know. Anyway, so I had money from McDonald's, and everything was getting paid. So I had the flat that I was in was being paid for, and I was at school, so I was kind of making money from McDonald's. They'd given me this pension book, and actually at some point I didn't even need to use it. So what actually happened was I did come back from Chamonix when I bought the lift pass, and I cashed in all of the pension box, and I kind of got rid of the flat, and then I went back to Chamonix, and that was me for the rest of the winter. And then me and so we were selling some boards, so we had enough. We didn't have to work, basically. We could just go snowboarding.
I remember seeing you at the ski show, and they had this. Might have been the first time I'd seen sort of real sort of snowboarding up close.
They had quarter pipes.
No, that came much later on. It was just like a slope, and it had some wedges as moguls.
Right. Okay.
And I remember there was like, oh, we're going to watch some skiers do the moguls, and and then there's 2 snowboarders. And I remember like it was either you or Steve managed to get some air off the last one and just do like a quick grab or something.
Right.
But obviously everyone was a bit more stoked on that because the skiing was boring, and you'd done a jump, so that was really cool.
Oh wow.
And it was like, like the ski show back then, it was all ski, it was the ski show. There was no snowboarding at all. Yeah. But I remember at the end when everyone was lined up at the bottom and clapping, it must have been you. You had a red Air 5.1 and you held it above your head. And I just remember thinking, that's so fucking cool.
Really?
Like, because you're not only like the outsiders, you're like, fuck
claiming
you,
it.
I am the outsiders. And I just remember being like, oh my God, like this is all for me. Like I love, this just makes me love it even more.
Oh, well, we definitely, there was a real love for snowboarding, wasn't there? Where would that have been then?
Must have been at Olympia or Earls Court.
Yeah.
Because that's just where it was, wasn't it? Like for years and years, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And it was massive.
Yeah, they were big, weren't they? But then you couldn't buy like skiing or snowboarding equipment many places. You went to the ski show to do that, to buy. I think loads of people went there to buy ski boots and try them on.
Yeah, totally. And it was always like, that's where you got a deal. so you go up there and get something really cheap. So there was a real incentive for it.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you wanted to see it, there were a few videos, like, especially snowboarding. I didn't see any snowboarding, but I saw the Greg Stump movies.
Yeah.
And there'd be a snippet of a snowboard, and you'd be like, fuck.
Yeah.
I'd just rewind that clip enough and enough.
Piss-taking though, weren't they, on those ones?
Oh, yeah, like the Wheel of Destruction.
Yes.
But then they had that whole section that's shot in Chamonix, and just the music and everything fits perfectly, and then a guy fucking does a big method, and it hits the chord of this tune, and it's like perfect.
What was the name of the band? It was
probably Act or Propaganda.
Propaganda for some reason went really well with snowboarding, didn't it?
Yeah, really well.
They gave us, so when we did the ski show, I don't know who, because it was way before Stu and Spence started doing the ski show stuff. We must have met someone, and they started asking us, and so we started doing the ski shows really early. I remember doing the Manchester one in maybe 1990 or 91.
Yeah, it must have been. I mean, I would have been still at school.
Yeah. But and it wasn't like a big thing, it was probably like 50 quid
a
day, or, it wasn't like, but it was cool that we did it. But I remember by about 93, we said to them, we wrote into the contract, it was no actual contract, but we said, can we have a stand? And they gave us a stand, and then we said, can we raffle snowboards? So we started raffling off our snowboards, which was we made so much money raffling our snowboards.
Fucking hell. So you start,
yeah.
I mean,
we hustled.
Yeah, I mean,
we were hustling.
You've always had that hustling thing of how can I make the best out of every opportunity, or how can I create an opportunity out of nothing?
Well, what we knew that we wanted to go snowboarding. We didn't want to work in a bar, or we wanted to just go out snowboarding.
Yeah.
And at the end of that first season in Chamonix, so I had met loads of people from Norway. So I hitchhiked up to Norway, and spent the summer in Norway, which was, sweet. And in fact, I had my 18th birthday in Norway, so I was 17 at that point.
Yeah. So
I definitely know that happened, and it was on my 18th, and I know it was that because I remember I'd met all these girls from Finland, and which was, because I didn't know anyone, didn't even know Finland existed, but we were in. And here's the mad thing about Scandinavia, right? So all the Swedes and the Norwegians can speak their own language to each other because they can understand each other. Their English is normally pretty good. Finnish people speak this nuts language that no one can understand. It sort of sounds Russian, but
yeah.
So once the Finns arrived, everyone started speaking English. So then I was like,
then you were good.
I was okay. And in fact, I met these two German girls who and I couldn't believe they'd done this, but they'd spent 2 weeks with each other speaking English before one of them had said, by the way, where are you from? She's gone, I'm German. It's like, was ist das? And they started speaking German to each other afterwards. It's like, how did you get 2 weeks? Anyway,
2 weeks?
It's too long.
That is. I wonder what they talked about before they got to that.
Don't know. That was pretty weird. But when the Finns arrived, it was such an event, because I was in this camp for like 2 weeks before anyone from Finland arrived, and we all went and sat in the cafe waiting for these bus loads of Finnish people to arrive, and I remember it so clearly because this guy was like, oh yeah, there's like 3 bus fulls of Finnish girls coming, and I was thinking, it must be like they're really beautiful or whatever, but it wasn't that. It was like they just brought the party with them, and this bus pulled up and the doors opened and this first Finnish girl fell out of the bus, right? She was holding a bottle of vodka and it smashed on the floor, and then 5 or 6 girls piled out after her, and the first thing that they did, no one said a word, but they just dropped to their knees and started licking the vodka off the fucking car park floor. And then someone was like, "Whee!" like behind me, and that was it. The whole summer was just, it was madness. These people were so funny, and they were so good at snowboarding. So yeah, that was it. Then we were just doing summers in Norway. So we did winters in Chamonix and summers in Norway, and it was absolutely amazing.
And then when did things kind of turn a bit more serious for you? Because you were sort of, I mean, were you ever pro? Would you have considered yourself a pro?
Well, I mean, we were definitely getting by quite early on because we were, we didn't really have to. Well, we had to do a bit of the construction work, stuff like that. We were doing that in the summer, in bits where we could make some money. But we were just sort of hustling, and then I suppose 94, maybe about 94. Then that was when the idea of white lines was kind of going around, and then we ended up started doing white lines. And probably about that, maybe 93 was when we started getting money from, well, Burton and a few other sponsors were starting to give us money, but they were also giving us, like, if you get the logo in a magazine or on a TV,
photo incentives.
You get photo incentives, then you get paid. So then we realised very quickly, we realised very quickly that the main thing was to try and get in magazines. And then the opportunity came up to sort of work in a magazine, and my immediate thought was, I could put loads of photos of me in this magazine. I've literally got a license to print my own money.
Brilliant.
And that was my main incentive to start working for White Lines.
When was that though? Because I remember
the first one came out in 95.
Was it really?
Yeah. So we started working. So I remember
So I'd done my first season 93, 94 in Val, and then I met you.
The Champs was in Val in 94. I'm sure.
No.
Was it not?
No, that was a Voriaz. I remember because Matt Burt worked in a hotel, and I remember he went over for that.
Oh, really?
Then it was the next year because I didn't do that season. Tried to do that season. Met you at the Val Pipe with Kenty and Russ Brass and everything. It was just English voices, and I was like, oh, all right, lads.
Yeah.
And I was trying to sort of find a job and everything, and it just wasn't working. So I ended up bailing. But then I went out on holiday for the Champs there at the end of that season.
In Val d'Isère.
But you must have been living in Bourg then, I think.
We were in Les Arcs.
Les Arcs.
We were living in Les Arcs because we went over with Scalp, the photographer.
Oh yeah.
That's when I think things started. So by that point, I'd met like Stu Brass and his brothers and Kenty, and we were living in Les Arcs, and we'd met with Scalp. Scalp he's a legend. Scalp. Pascal is his real name.
He's the master of like the blue sky, white mountain action shot, isn't he?
Yeah, he loves a bit of that. And he was a really good photographer, and he just knew everyone, and also he knew like other people in the European snowboard scene.
Yeah.
He worked for Transworld, he worked for the French magazines, and he saw us as like, oh, there's these new English magazines, I could maybe sell my photos to them. Yeah. And we saw him as like, oh my God, he actually can take a snowboard photograph. So once we started, and he was fun, he was really cool. He knew Les Arcs really well. We ended up hanging out with actually they were from Belgium. It was
Axel Pope,
Axel, Philippe Lallemont. There was a group of those guys that lived in an apartment, and so we ended up hanging out with the Brits and the Belgies, and we were pretty much the only seasonaires.
Yeah, really would have been.
There might have been. There was people working in bars and stuff, but we were just going hiking and exploring stuff.
Yeah.
And Stu, they were all really impressed with Stu because Stu would just huck himself off any cliff, and there's some big old cliffs in that resort. So Scout was pretty stoked. So we just hung out with him loads, and he came up to Val d'Isère, I remember, because he was like, "What? They all think it, and they still think it's hilarious that the British Championships are in like." These pretty obscure. Well, it's not an obscure resort, but they loved that, and so he'd come and photograph it, and suddenly, it was like he could sell photographs to all these people.
But you were in that Jamiroquai video, and then Odd Man Out about the same time as well, weren't you?
Yeah. Well, Christian,
or filming for those things at that time.
Yeah, Christian Stevenson had worked at the ski shows as well. I don't know what his initial but he just loved like the UK music scene. So he was over, doing stuff. Him and his mates, they'd they were hustlers. They were proper hustlers.
Right.
And they'd set up businesses in like Vail, Colorado, to try and like, you know, make videos of like punters and then sell them to the punters.
Yeah.
And so they were doing that, and then they'd started making some like early snowboard stuff. And Christian just loved the music scene. He wanted to be in the UK music scene, and so he was over. And I don't know who met who first or where that connection came about, but he was obviously so much fun. And he knew Jamiroquai, and they wanted to do a video where it was snowboarding. Yeah. And so he was like, "Hey, Moran," you know, he wanted me and Steve to be in the video. So we all went off to Saint Anton and filmed that. It's sadly not one of their good songs, really. They never really
wasn't one of their standout songs, was it? Sadly.
Yeah. But it was cool. It was fun, and you know, like, yeah.
Did you keep one of the boards, or did you give them?
Yeah. So they actually gave us loads of They gave us loads of stuff. They made loads of, like, it was a Jamiroquai logo, you know, kind of horned hat. I don't know, is it Burton? I don't know who made it, actually. I can't remember. But then randomly, like, some of the photos of that came out, and then I got on the cover of Onboard on that Jamiroquai board.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Didn't get photo incentive for that one there.
I think I was annoyed that was.
I mean, that's the big one.
Like, what? Unless it was Burton Up, I can't remember. I don't remember.
I get a feeling it's Nidecker. Don't know why I'm thinking that though.
It might have been.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I mean, that was pretty mental. I mean, it's certainly you being in Les Arc, because then me and my mate Toby went there the season after.
Right.
And, you know, like Odd Man Out was playing in the bars, and
and
you know, like, again, we were the only seasonaires there. Well, apart from that's where I met Steve, actually, because he was living in the Crystal Rep, right? She must have thought, I've got this job for the winter. I'm going to have an apartment to myself. This is going to be awesome.
Suddenly the snowboard locusts
and then
arrive.
Fucking Steve turns up and he's living there for the winter. And then obviously we're hanging out there, and she must, I mean, at the time I didn't give a shit, but looking back, it's like, oh man, she didn't get the best time.
Well, you know, there's always a push and pull. I mean, everyone I know, when we went to Maribel, it was the same. Like, all, you know, the first snowboarders that we met, they all had this like network of chalet girls that they knew, and they would go and do some washing up for, and then feed them, and you know, maybe a little bit of other things going on as well. But it was like, you just had to hustle to get by, or get a job, and no one really wanted to do that because it meant less time snowboarding. So, you know, the van life didn't really happen, apart from
we talked about this the other day. Your mate who had what was his chat line?
Mikey Becker. I'm sure he won't mind me saying his name. Yeah, he lived in a van because his chat line was always, "Do you like Coco Van?" Which is a terrible line.
I mean, but who the fuck comes out with that? I mean, that's either appalling or legendary, and I don't quite know.
Both. It is both. Oh, he was funny.
Did it work? Or is it like, if you shoot enough goals, if you shoot the ball at the goal enough, sooner or later one's going in?
I think it, you know, well, the Beckers, there was three of them. There was two brothers and a sister, and they were a fucking funny trio. Will Becker used to, I mean, he's an old friend, I'm sure he won't mind me telling him these kind of things, but he used to come into our house, and almost without fail, he had a big willy, right? So he'd just come in, he'd get his big willy out, he'd open the fridge, and he'd start slamming the fridge door against his willy. And then, which is a fucking weird thing to do.
That is a weird thing to do.
Yeah, and then he'd leave. That would be him. He'd come in, do that, and then be off. And then again, like we'd see him in Tucking, which is like where we bought burgers and stuff. And he'd come in, and he'd get a can of Coke, get his big knob out, put a big dent in the can of Coke, hand it back to you, and he'd fuck off. You were like, there was something about that year where. And it was him. It was Will. That year was everywhere you looked, someone had their knob out and was hitting something with it. It was so weird. It was such a weird winter. Why was I telling you that? I can't remember.
Van life.
Van life. Well, Mikey Becker. He was the brother. So
Though it was only in Sham. I think it was in Sham, wasn't it, where van life was happening? Because I mean,
yeah,
I guess because it's sort of in the valley, it might be a bit more accessible. Like you wouldn't have driven a van and parked it in the Les Arts, like round the back of the Les Arts.
Well,
buildings,
strange in Netanya now they call it Pikey Park, which
Nice.
is and bizarrely the commune set up the car park to deal with
Right.
the growing number of people who want to do a winter and live in a van. So there's toilets and there's electricity and all that sort of stuff, and it's free.
That's pretty cool.
So, but this is now like, I mean, back in the day, there must have been some people. Oh, well, Mia Brooks's parents did it. That's how they kind of went around, and I think you were telling me about that as well. But no, most of the time, what was happening is we were just hustling, and we would get a network of people that we could kind of, get some off, and not in a bad way, like and also we knew the other seasonaires. There weren't that many, so it'd be so easy to go to Morzine and hang out with someone for 4 or 5 days, and just stay on their apartment floor, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So it was brilliant. We had like the snowboard scene, not just the UK. We knew some of the Frenchies. We knew the whole Belgian snowboard scene, because it was like
they were there.
We started getting snowboard shots in those.
No, but the Belgian scene was cool because they had sort of the dry slope background as well, didn't they?
They had a bit of that, yeah.
So
and they were all cool. That was the thing. We just had this lovely shared thing of like everyone was on the black.
Yeah.
It was honour amongst thieves because no one stole anything from each other, and we could have ripped each other off, but no one really had anything. But yeah, it's cool. And then and everyone pretty much from that scene has gone on to be like, so if you look at like Philippe Lallemont, he was one of the Belgian guys. Like he was like the head of Volcom in Europe for a long time. And,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like everyone, ended up having a pretty good or something in the industry. Like everyone's lifers. If you did that for that long, you're pretty much in snowboarding for a long time. So it's lovely. You bump into some people.
But I mean, you, as you said before with White Lines, like you turned your hustling into a career essentially, didn't you?
Yeah. Still hustling. Still doing it now.
It would definitely seem so.
Yeah.
So like how did White Lines approach? Did you approach them or did they approach you? I mean, that was a big fucking, because White Lines came in, like there was Snowboard UK and then there was Snowboard World.
Yeah.
And I remember a bit about those stories because we had Eddie on.
Right.
And he explained what happened with all those things and how they're, but like White Lines then seemed to sort of jump out, and it felt like it had a bit more of an aesthetic about it.
Right.
Just had a bit more of a kind of, oh no, we're going to present snowboarding in this sort of way.
Yeah.
Was that like a conscious decision by like you, Chod, and whoever else was involved?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, well, I'll give you an example of the editorial meetings that we had.
Did you put yourself on the cover of issue 1, or did someone else?
No, I didn't do that. I mean, if I'd given the option, I would
leave the slide like lying on someone's desk.
Yeah. No, so I was like, I'm proud to say. Often, if people say, "Well, I say, I started White Lines," and it's not true. I didn't start it. Tudor Thomas, Chod, isn't it? We knew him as, and Jim Peskett.
Yeah.
He's the publisher. They started it. They were working at another magazine, and that
was Snowboard World, and then it turned into White Lines, didn't it?
And they came in, and I had met Chod, and I got on really well with him. In fact, the first time that I really kind of properly hung out with him, he literally tried to beat the shit out of me because it was in that pipe in what you were talking about in Val d'Isère, and I remember I'd met Chod, and then the next day he was digging the pipe. I was digging the pipe with him. And I was a little bit hungover, and he had his top off, and he was getting sunburnt, and I was like, Chod, do you want some sun cream? Because his shoulders were burnt. And I hatched this plan in my head. It was, what a dick I am. And I went over, and he started taking his gloves off. I was like, no, don't worry, I'll put it on for you. Which is a slightly weird thing to do to someone that you've only just met. But what I knew is I'd got a bottle of a tube of Raljex in my bag, So I put this deep heat muscle rub all over my hands and then just like started massaging it into his shoulders. Bearing in mind, he was already proper sunburned. And he was like, oh, thanks, mate. Oh, hang on. What the? And he proper got the red mist because he realised, because I was laughing, Steve was laughing, a few other people knew what was going on. And he could tell straight away that, I was rubbing some fucking chili cream into his burnt skin. He was so angry. And so I was like, I realised I'd gone too far. Anyway, so I'm running down the pipe. He was throwing his shovel at me. He was running after me. He caught me. And I think he probably wanted to beat me up, but he was just kind of, anyway, how we got from that to do you want to work out why?
Yeah, so how did that?
I don't know.
Who made that? Who made the first move?
Yeah, I'll leave. So here's the thing, right? So that first photo was like, they didn't have that many contacts. They didn't have the photographers, they didn't have the advertising. And I knew quite a lot of people. So I knew quite a lot of photographers, and I knew some of the, like, I think they must have known Burton, but they, we put them in, so I could help. So I was like, I'll try and help. And then when I went back to the UK, I went to see him, and then it became so obvious that they had no one who could actually run a magazine. Yeah. And of course, I'm hustling, so I'm thinking I could get my foot in the door here. I mean, to the point where, I'll give you an example, right? One of their first issues, they had some photos from this dry slope contest, but they had no one to write up the contest. So Chad asked his girlfriend Claire to write the contest report, but she'd not been to the contest, but she liked crocodiles. So she was like, can I write a story about crocodiles? And he went, yeah, all right, do that, we'll run it. So they ran that. They ran an article about how Chad's girlfriend likes crocodiles with these contest photos. Amazing. So that was the level that could be improved on, which was obviously pretty easy. And obviously we were out there, we were doing some stuff, so we was like, oh, could we submit some? So from the very beginning, we started submitting stuff. And then, because my friends from school, like Matt Barr, and he
I mean, Matt wanted to be a journalist, didn't he?
Matt wanted to be a journalist, right? So, and he also wanted to come snowboarding. They were coming out while they were at university, while we were out there, and so they were sort of spending time. No way, we've got a cat.
For the listener, that bonk was just the cat that's come in, and she just headbutted the mic. You might hear her purring down the mic.
Yeah, maybe. So it was an obvious, like, well, here's someone who likes snowboarding and can write and can proofread. So yeah, me and Matt started working sort of full time for White Lines and became a little bit known for it. Really,
that's the dream gig, isn't it? Really, like for people that want to go snowboarding.
Yeah.
Then you've got basically a company that's enabling you to go and do whatever you want.
Yeah. And the mad thing was, like, the first couple of years, it was all, we'd literally like write stuff on pieces of paper with a pen, and there were fax machines. Remember, you could go to news agents and you could fax. So you could fax stuff back, or we'd phone things. But I remember Millie, who was the secretary at Permanent Publishing, because they also did Sidewalk and Surface Path and these other magazines.
Yeah.
So she was really cool. I loved Millie, but she was like probably 17 years old at the time, and probably dropped out of school. So the articles would come back, and the level of English was pretty bad. Not really her fault, but because we'd been on a phone saying, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then, and I remember reading like teens, as in Teens France, spelt TEENS, like as in teenagers, and things like that. It was just because we were literally phoning from a phone box on a French phone card. Anyway, you can see the problems. So as soon as the internet came out and we actually got like, Hotmail addresses, then it was like, oh my God, we can properly do this from France. We can set up an office in Maribel, and we can have, White Lines is based here. So that was when, so we had this kind of golden period from maybe 96 to 2000.
Yeah.
And then what we didn't realise is that the internet, which was enabling us to do all this amazing stuff, was just going to
take away that,
kill the publishing industry dead, really.
No, but you had a few dream years. So there was two things about the thing about your place in Maribel, because we were in Borg at the time. And I remember me, Dave, Si, Brass, probably. We came over and you were having a champagne and eyeliner party.
Right.
Now, I can't really do any form of dressing up, and that includes even wearing eyeliner. I found it just fucking weirded me out. I couldn't really handle it, so I got hammered.
Right.
And slept under a table.
Okay.
And then we had to walk from Breed-le-Ban to Moutier the next day because Stu was in bed with someone and wasn't getting up to give his brother a lift home. Fucking charming.
Yeah.
And the other thing was, the legend was that you had a mobile phone. You were like the first person to have a mobile phone and hadn't clocked what the calls were going to cost, and you had like a horrific bill. Ooh. How true is that?
Did I have I had a couple of horrific bills, yeah, that's for sure. I mean, I remember in 97 I had my mobile phone, which was quite rare at the time, but I could actually connect it to my laptop and have the internet on the laptop, but it was like so shit, you know. But all we wanted to do is send this Word document, which was the article or whatever, to you know, this, to the Hotmail address or whatever it was. It's the only thing we wanted to do. But yeah, there was just a need to be, I suppose, you know, to have that stuff working. We weren't in any way tech. One
of my favourite things, and I think it was when I was working at the board store, so I spent a season, I don't know why I did that. Instead of going snowboarding, I worked in a snowboard shop in Essex.
Right.
I'm not quite sure, but I remember reading an article in the magazine, and you'd written an article just for not really any point. There was kind of no point to it, but it was just about a day where you'd gone up and done Valley of the Idiots Valley of the Kings or something in Les Arcs.
Right.
And you'd sort of written about riding down and then sort of bumboarding sort of the pathway on the bottom, and the last one home makes the tee.
Right.
And I just remember like just being like, that sums up, you've perfectly encapsulated what snowboarding is for me.
Right.
Because otherwise, and it had some humour, and it had that sense of doing something, and it had sort of little, you know, like the last one down makes the tee. Like we sort of co-opted that in on seasons, you know, like doing the home run, last one back is getting the kettle on.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've always liked your writing style, because it always has a sense of the irreverent, or
well,
you know, it's like you've always found the fun in everything that you're writing about, or you're bringing some random angle that kind of makes it fun and interesting.
Yeah.
Like with Cake Face, I was mentioning to the kids about Cake Face, like in White Lines. Mm. Lucy was like, oh, you know, you're sort of fat shaming. I was like, no, what I'm doing is it's a reference to an old snowboard mag, some kid on a roller coaster who, like, this random photo that Chod had found or whatever.
Yeah, that would have been, well, that was the thing, because we were just allowed to do anything, you know, with White Lines. I mean, there was, I look back on it, right, and Jim Peskett was essentially the boss, right, because he was the owner of the publishing.
Well, he seemed like a generation above, but he was probably only like 5 years older than everybody.
He was like 28 years old when they set up permanent publishing. He was so young, and whereas we were like, oh, Jim, you old cunt, fuck you. Yeah, he was so young, and he must have despaired at, like, you know, he was literally paying us all. We were off, God knows doing what. He had the skateboarders constantly dressing up his dog. I mean, if you look at like old copies of Sidewalk, they took Jim's dog almost every day and they'd dress him up and put him in a full-on photographic studio. and almost every day he'd have like a photo shoot. And you know, God knows what he thought we were doing with his money, but we probably were not respecting it. And and we would also, like, so he's, I remember getting a phone call from him saying, because whenever we do like a competition or whatever, we'd say like, send your entries to, I don't give a flying fuck, 1 Sturt Street, Abingdon, you know, we'd like make up these addresses all the time. And he phoned me up once and he was like, the post office have told me that if you put one more stupid fucking address, they're taking us off. We won't get any post. Don't close my business down. And even then, we'd be like, yeah, sure. Next issue, fire straight in with as much bullshit as possible. We tried to make his life hell. We did. So I feel really, no, I don't feel bad about that. It was funny. Yeah. We were just trying to be as stupid as possible, because that was how we were. That was snowboarding, when we were going out having a laugh and saying like last one in makes a brew, like we were doing that,
Yeah.
And I think it comes out, doesn't it? It's like,
I think it does. Yeah.
Like the crocodile article is so stupid, but it is of the era. You couldn't really do it now, but we were able to do it because.
Yeah, and your summer tour of Europe, where kind of the thread on it was, we're going to put
bubble bath
in fountains.
Yeah.
I mean, that is, I think if there's one ever snowboarding trip I wish I'd been on, it would have been that one. That's right up my street.
Yeah.
That is.
That was so much fun. That was so good. And I know, because Jono Verity has got all the footage, because we filmed loads of stuff.
Really?
I mean, to the point where we would be stopping at like icons and we'd film the van going past it, and then we'd reverse back and pick him up. We've got that much footage where it could be done, but it was never made into a film. We always planned to put it as a DVD on the cover.
Yeah,
but we just got sidetracked and did something else. We should have. But yeah, that was brilliant.
I mean, what a brilliant thing! I remember because there was a little fountain in my hometown,
right?
And they ended up. Who was I saying? It must have been Juliet, because she was on it.
Right.
And I remember, like they ended up putting security cameras around it, because it used to happen so often.
You get bubble bathed
all the time.
Yeah.
And I hated where I grew up, but there's one thing that always makes me smile, is the fact that fucking jokers from where I grew up bubble bath that thing all the time.
There is few things more universally loved than a fountain spewing out bubble bath. Like we did it all. So also Loaded magazine, which was like a kind of, that was like the grown-up non-snowboarding version of what we wanted to be.
Yeah.
So we weren't nicking that stuff, but we were like, if they can do porno-likes, we are allowed to do, draw this moustache on this photograph of whatever.
Yeah.
So, and Loaded came out with us on the Bubble Bath tour. I don't know if you remember that. Yeah. There was a guy. Bill Burrows, his name was. He came out and joined us for a few days in Paris, and he was like, because I'd met him on a trip to Japan with it was Stu and Chris Carr and myself were sponsored by Budweiser. I mean, shows the era, right? So we went to to Tokyo, and Loaded. There was a few other magazines. Ministry magazine.
Oh, Ministry of Sound magazine.
magazine. Anyway, there's a few others, and Bill was from Loaded, and Neil Haynes, who's the legend. Neil Haynes, I still see Neil a little bit. We all went to, and they were like, "What the fuck are these snowboard weirdos up to?" This is kind of they were really interested in the snowboard scene, because they didn't know it existed.
No, well, that's the thing. It was a thing that lived outside of most people's radar, wasn't it? But within it.
Once they knew what it was, they were really interested. Like, what, you do that, So I said to them, "Well, we're going to go on we're going to go to these snowboard summer camps." They're like, "What, you can snowboard in the summer?" Yeah, there's actual camps, but really, what we're going to do is we're going to go and bubble bath fountains all around Europe. And he's like, "I want to come. I really want to come." So he came and joined us in Paris, and the one in Paris, we did this. So it was a military operation. We had like these backpacks which we'd blagged from Jansport or somewhere, or Eastpak.
Yeah.
We didn't tell them what we were going to do with their backpacks, but anyway, so each backpack had like 5 litres of bubble bath in it, and we had 6 or 7 of them. It was a lot of bubble bath.
That is a hell of a lot, isn't it?
So much bubble bath. And we did this one we did a few in Paris, but one of them was in this square, and it filled the whole square. So the square's like, 100 metres by 100 metres, filled the whole thing with about a metre and a bit of bubble bath, of foam. And at 5 o'clock, when all the offices emptied, everyone came out and they were just like, yeah. And I mean, there's this businesswoman, right? Like, you know, full pencil skirt, white shirt, tie, just got naked, just stripped off and got fully naked, just there, like 5 o'clock in on a Thursday afternoon. Bill was like, wow, this is absolutely nuts. And it was really funny. And because everywhere we did it, there'd just be instant party.
Yeah.
But so while we were doing it, we used to, that night, because he loved it. He was like, you snowboard crew, what weirdos you are. But then we were like, we took him on we thought it'd be funny to go and do, like, we didn't know it was parkour, but that's essentially what it was, because we were just stupid. And we'd found this building site on one of the bridges going across the sand. And there was this big beam, and I'd seen it. I was like, we should try and walk across that beam. And it was really high. And so we were drunk. We'd just been doing this foam thing. We went and did it. He's like, it's not a good idea. It's like, come on, let's go and do it. It'd be fun. Anyway, he fell off it.
Shit.
He fell off this thing immediately. Like, luckily, because if he'd fallen off it in the middle, he'd been dead. But he fell a solid 10 metres down this. Luckily, the embankment was like this, and he fell down the wall. So then he's in straight away to hospital because he's fucked himself up. And his girlfriend, who he'd brought to Paris to say, I've just got to go and do this quick photo shoot with these snowboarders, and then we've got the weekend to ourselves. Of course, that's not the case. So then, and she turns up at the hospital. We're all in fancy dress because that was also what we decided to do. And everyone's covered in foam, and he's smashed himself up. And he's kind of ruined his relationship. But he was a bit like, well, it was still kind of worth it. So, that's kind of a little bit how it was.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you know, like you and Matt working together, that sort of gave birth to your...
Well, again, hustling, because we realised, like, there was no... Well, we watched we watched the magazine publishing industry just die. You know, it's hard because of, you know, the rise of the internet. And so we sort of, we saw that coming. So we were like, but there's still money, you know, people want, what they want is the expertise of getting brands into media, which is marketing, PR. So we jumped ship. We went from sort of poacher to gamekeeper, as it were.
And I remember you also did a trip that you dubbed the best place on earth. I think it was to Iceland.
Clacton.
Greenland.
Oh,
fucking Clacton. Well, yeah, I mean, clearly.
We did go to Greenland. That was pretty good. Yeah, we scored that. Yeah, that was stupid.
I mean, what was the sort of what was the craziest door that working for White Lines opened for you?
Working for White Lines.
Well, just being in that environment, like you were exceptionally good at the hustle. So what's the biggest hustle or the best?
Well, what it taught us is, rather than anything that White Line said, is it taught us that if you just can blag anything. If you just go and say, oh, well, we're here to do this, you know, we would use it. You could go, like, for example, we decided, like, Danny, you know, Danny Wheeler, Danny didn't want anything to do with this, by the way, and I feel a little bit guilty, but he was like, well, let's do the interview, and me and Matt were like, we've got an idea, let's do it at the Hacienda in Manchester, for no reason than we wanted to go to the Hacienda. I mean, that was the very see-through, obvious
obviously
side hustle. And so then we phoned the Hacienda, and we're like, we've got the world famous Danny Wheeler we want to come and do an interview with from White Lines magazine. And they're like, who the fuck are you? Anyway, yeah, come on then. So we'd get like passes, and we'd go, you could do that. You just phone up and do it. Whereas I think you can't really do that quite so easily now, because anyone can go online and
because everything's a bit more transparent.
Yeah, it's like that thing of, you know, pre-Google, you could spout off any old shit in the pub, and who's gonna, you know, who can prove you wrong? Wikipedia didn't exist or whatever. So that was probably the biggest thing that White Lines taught us.
I mean, it seemed to be at that time as well, there was a lot of brands that fancied a piece of the action and were willing, like, had big enough budgets, and it would seem that you were very helpful in helping them spend it.
Well, it would have been nice to do more, but like, yeah, that was definitely the thing, you know, because action sports, you know, if you open any catalogue, it's like, what do they use when they advertise the TV screen? You know, someone surfing or whatever. There's something visually nice, isn't there, about these sports? So, yeah, we tried to get involved with them a little bit, you know.
And did you ever feel?
We always called it the cash cow. It's like, what's the latest cash cow coming through the door? You know, and there was always someone. Motorola. Phil Young is the king of that as well.
Is he?
Yeah. You
I'll
know,
speak to him about that.
Nike, you know, because everyone wants a piece of skateboarding, surfing, snowboarding.
Yeah.
Everybody wants a piece of that. Or if not the sport, they want the cool, you know, the cool shine from it.
The cool association.
Yeah. So that became the thing that we ended up sort of selling to, not even selling it, because that sounds like we're doing a disservice, but making sure that then that brands don't get it so wrong, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's easy to
make snowboarding look shit.
Yeah.
And that has a negative impact on everybody in snowboarding.
Yeah. If you give it to someone who knows nothing about skateboarding, you know, they'll follow someone who can barely do a skateboard trick, and they'll flip the camera and make it and be like, whoa, we're zooming in and out. Whoa, look how crazy and cool we are. It's like, no one wants that.
Yeah.
That isn't the look that you're going for. You know, what is the proper representation of the culture, I suppose.
Did you ever notice, because obviously at one point you were sort of a pro rider, getting pictures in magazines, like you had pictures in Trans World, and I mean that's a big deal. But did you ever sort of make the conscious decision to sort of go more into the work side and less in the just snowboarding side, or was that just like happened by sort of natural transition?
Well, I did try and do some product development with Burton. I was quite into that, but that seemed to, and there was maybe an opportunity a while back to maybe move to the States and go down that road.
Oh yeah.
Well, but one of the guys was an English guy who actually like head of development at Burton in Vermont, strangely enough. But I didn't really like. It wasn't like an obvious opportunity, but I did think about that. You know,
did you have like an early idea for a spoon-shaped, quite short, quite wide snowboard, and that's why you're now collecting them? For the listener, Chris is collecting Burton nugs.
I have got a few nugs, haven't I? Yeah, no, well, I don't know. There was a few, but you go where the energy is, don't you? Go where what you're interested in.
Yeah.
And no, I was kind of. I didn't go down that road. I wonder. There was also like, so Trans World were looking. You know, Nick went over to Nick Hamilton.
Yeah, he went to Trans World.
Yeah, he was with White Lines almost from the beginning, and Nick is amazing. You know, he's probably one of the most important talents that UK snowboarding has produced.
Yeah,
not in
100%.
Snowboarding, but in the industry. And he went over to Trans World. And there was always talk of, you know, Trans World need people, and maybe, you know, we could go and do that sort of stuff. So because me, Matt and Ed Lee and Matt Barr, we were kind of interested in exploring those things. Ed ended up going into TV.
Yeah.
I was asked to go into TV because actually when I went to Japan, that was when we first met this production company.
Right.
And they were the ones that ended up making a TV program with me and Ed. And they really liked that, and they kept asking Ed and me to do more. I didn't really want to do it. Ed obviously did want to do it, and so Ed ended up going down that road and ended up doing more TV stuff. I don't know. There was a few opportunities, but I like where I didn't want to be in the. I realised like I just felt so uncomfortable with like I didn't really want to be famous or be in the spotlight. Didn't really like that so much. Excuse me. And I didn't want to. I didn't want to push it with snowboarding any further because it was starting to get scary. I was going out with like Sasha Ham and he'd be jumping off things that I didn't want to jump off. I thought, I probably don't want to do that much anymore.
I remember one day when he came and stayed with us, and he was like, "Come on, Chris. Come on, Christopher." we're going here and we're going to do this.
Yeah.
And Lucy was like, don't you go anywhere gnarly.
Right.
And then as I'm fucking climbing off the back of the, what's the big thing in La Plan? The
Belcott.
The Belcott. Yeah. As we're sort of getting to a line on the Belcott, I'm like, fucking hell. I told Lucy I wouldn't do this.
Yeah, he likes a bit of that.
Loves a bit of that.
He really does. Remember, and it's not like, you know, the standard of snowboarding was high. This is the thing that I think is hard to come across nowadays, because the stuff that Sasha was doing, you know, I remember going on this trip around Canada with him and a few others, and I remember this one cliff that Sasha went off, and it was solid, like 10-meter cliff, but you went further, so you'd go bigger. But the run out had this like massive traverse line. There's like 3 or 4 traverse lines where people were trying to get across the landing, and they were heading somewhere else. And these things were like, you know, they had like 50 skiers on it that day.
Proper steps.
It was solid.
Yeah.
It was a solid ice train track. And there's like 3 of them. So you'd have to land the cliffs, and you'd then be macking it, and then you'd have to like take on these 3, you know, you go straight across these 3 things. And for Sasha, he was just like, oh, it's fine, I'll just do it. Here I come. 3, 2, 1, you know. And I was like, no, this could end in death. Like this is not okay. And I was a bit like, I don't, you know, every day I remember that trip in particular. I remember waking up every morning thinking, I really don't want to push it as much as we pushed it yesterday.
Yeah.
Whereas Sasha was like, oh, yesterday was nothing. I'm thinking, I'm in my late 20s. I wanna enjoy snowboarding for a long time.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. I don't want to die on the mountain. I want to enjoy snowboarding for as long as possible. I've got no interest in doing something gnarly just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
I'm not built like that.
Well, we get to, don't we? This is lovely. It's a lovely thing about it. We feel like we've made it through the worst of it.
Well, coming to that, you know, like you've got a house in Bozell in the Three Valleys. I mean, you can come back here. We're in Hove in Brighton. You can come back here because you've got somewhere to stay here. And surprisingly, we haven't had a package arrived whilst doing this interview. Normally, something arrives for you whilst we're doing an interview, but I guess because it's with you, it will come when we're finished. But
I know. It shouldn't be called Thank You Snowboarding. It should be called Thank You, Chris and Lucy.
Care
for letting me
of Chris and Lucy.
I do appreciate that.
That's all right. It's no problem. But yeah, you've sort of, after living in Brighton for a long time, you've sort of gravitated back towards the mountains and finished doing a place up.
Yeah.
I mean, did you always want to get back there? Like, was that always on your radar?
Yeah.
Did you think that was what might happen?
Yeah. Well, you know, so I've got Harry, my son. He's literally just turned 15, and I always wanted for him to kind of grow up with you know, with the mountains, which we've sort of done. Not directly, like he's not actually physically grown up there, but you know, he spent a lot of time in the mountains. But you know, I unfortunately I couldn't convince you know, his mum to move there in when he was young.
Yeah.
But I always knew that that's what I wanted to do, and so we ended up separating, and I did move there. I moved back to the mountains. And
but I mean, it feels like even the house. I mean, I haven't been there yet. Lucy came out with Danny and Matt earlier on this year, and even the way you've managed to do the house, like you've sort of done it in your own way. Do you know what I mean? You've sort of, there's an element of hustle about your house as well, isn't there?
Definitely.
Like you've kept an eye on Marketplace, found stuff that's going off a chalet, and you used it, and it feels like it's the embodiment of your whole career in snowboarding has gone into a building.
Maybe. I think there's something. Well, you'd have to come and see what you think about it, but it has a vibe which definitely people have said this is very you, this place.
Yeah,
and that is a, you know. Do you remember? I remember. There's that joke, isn't there? Like, how do you get an Argentinian in a phone box? tell him it's not his, which is a throwback to a very dodgy time in the 80s. And it's not in any way PC.
We'll let that go.
Which is obviously, it's not a cool joke, but there is that thing for me, which is like, you know, because I just couldn't afford a house, right? So
yeah,
which is a common thing for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
So the thing for me was, you know, people told me that I wouldn't be able to do this renovation.
Yeah.
And that's been such a big motivator to actually make it. But I have enjoyed literally every moment of it, and the people that have worked on the house, there's quite a lot of girls who worked on the house as well. There's been, you know, old friends and new friends, and it's been fun. Really, really loved it. It's been a big old project. So
how does it feel now when you sort of go home and it's in the mountains and got your snowboarding kit there? Like, you know, you just, like, I can appreciate that, having had the chalet. It's like, I can be in London, but if I go back to the mountains, my kit is there. And I can just put it on, grab my lift pass and go. Is that still kind of, does that light you up maybe more than ever?
Yeah, for sure. It's brilliant. I feel so lucky, you know. Yeah. But I've always felt lucky because, you know, I mean, you've named this podcast so perfectly, because what a lovely, like, the thing with snowboarding that I actually don't really like going snowboarding on my own, and you know, that doesn't fill me with joy. The thing that snowboarding has been amazing, that from that first day when I actually went snowboarding, yes, on my own, then I had the stoke for snowboarding. I still have this, love going snowboarding, but the thing that's been the best thing about snowboarding for me is the people who, you know, and the laughs. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
You know, 100%. And there's been so many of them, and there's so many more to come. I mean, we what's lovely about having the house now, you know, and I am really lucky. It's a nice place, and it's a big place, so I can have friends.
Yeah.
And now we've got, like, you know, so I can invite any of the original snowboard crew or new friends, but a load of people are coming out with their kids. And, like, having the kids at the house and for them to go snowboarding, like, I've got quite a few, you know, friends, and they're bringing out their sons and their daughters, and the fact that they feel, loads of them know the house now, and they feel like it's their house as well, which I love. Yeah. And it's getting to the point where they're all talking about, as soon as they can come and do seasons, they're going to start doing seasons.
Yeah.
And, you know, and they love it. They absolutely love it. And why wouldn't you? I mean, it's the best. It's the best thing. And there's nothing better than when we go up and it's like, I mean, I think was it this New Year? I think it was this New Year. We didn't have a great week weather-wise, Christmas week, but then New Year's Eve came about and it started dumping, and it probably put down like a foot before the lift shut from like 4 to 5 p.m. on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And we were all planning on going and watching the fireworks and, you know, probably getting drunk or whatever. And everyone was like, do you know what? Let's not do that. Let's get up early. And we went up, and I knew some of the lifts which were going to open early, and we got like 3 runs on this black run called the Jean Blanc in Latania, and it was like 2 foot of perfect fresh on top of, you know, corduroy.
Yeah.
And everyone, all this was like 7 of us, you know, half of them are 13, 14, 15. They could not believe how good it was. It was they were all like, that is the best thing I've ever done. And it was like, oh, this is so worth it, you know, this is brilliant. And we had a laugh, you know, on the chairlifts. It's like everyone's just laughing and saying stupid stuff, and you're just like, this is exactly how it was in 1993. It's no different.
It's funny that, isn't it? Because in a sense, sort of, you've done a lot of trying to help translate snowboarding to people that might not see it. And now you're in a position where friends are coming out with their kids, and you're enabling, you know, because snowboard is an expensive thing to do now, right? You know, especially if you've got to pay for flights and accommodation and food and everything, whereas you're being very generous. And I think it's always been within you to do that, to have a place that people can come and stay at. And it's like you're still enabling, or you're enabling another generation. You're enabling your friends who maybe couldn't do it to come out and go snowboarding again.
Right.
And I think that's quite an incredible thing. I don't know if you've ever clocked that.
Well, but I have been so fortunate and had so much help over the years from random people. And one thing that really stayed with me when I was young, this was like, again, my 18th birthday party in Norway.
Yeah.
Which was, so this is the thing, this was put on by these Finnish girls that I'd never met before, and they just ended up having like the best summer. And really like wholesome. It wasn't like, getting off with each other. None of that, right? I mean, it wasn't on my radar. But I remember these 3 girls made this cake for me, which was basically like they'd gone and nicked squirty cream from the garage and sweets, and they just did this big spiral of squirty cream, and they were throwing sweets in it. And there's about 10 of us, and we just all ate this thing of, and so that was like my birthday cake. And for a present, these Hell's Angels that I'd met, because I wasn't drinking, and they wanted someone to drive them to the nightclub, right? So that was my job for that week. And I remember one of them had drunkenly said, the Hell's Angels in Norway really like they're really into the Norse gods, the Norse religion. So there's this weird thing there. And so he was drunk in this nightclub. We're listening to like Informer by Snow is in the background. I remember it so clearly. He's telling me that the Norse gods, the Norse religion, you measure your wealth in what you give away rather than what you own.
Yeah.
And so he's like, so I've got a present for you. And he gave me this like really expensive mountain bike.
No way.
That was like, and I found out a few days later that he'd nicked it from a campsite down the road. So we're talking about hustlers everywhere.
Circular economy.
But I remember that stayed with me so much. I was like, yeah, that's good. And they were the best times, meeting random people. I mean, I don't know what any of their names were.
But I think you're quite good at meeting people. I think I've told you this story before, where we had some friends when I was one season in Borg. We had some friends doing up in Courchevel 1550.
Right.
I think that might have been Lorraine that worked for Gillette that ended up sorting out paying for that Greenland trip. I think she had something to do with that.
Okay. Thank you, Lorraine.
This girl that I was in love with. So anyway, I got the train to Moutier from Borg, and then I was like, I'll hitch up. So I was walking through Moutier to get out to the main road to go up to the Three Valleys. And I had a board under my arm. I'm just walking along. This car pulls up. These Frenchies in there, French snowboarders. They're like, oh, where you going? I'm like, of course, about 1550. And they're like, okay, we'll give you a lift.
Wow. Scored.
I haven't even put my thumb out. Do you know what I mean? I'm just literally walking along the road. Anyway, sat in the back of their car. They turn around and they're like, oh, you're British snowboarder? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, do you know Chris Moran? I'm like, funnily enough, I do know Chris Moran. It's just these random things. Yeah, probably. Yeah. That guy.
Who was that?
Don't know. Just never met him again.
Yeah.
That was the thing.
Wow.
But I just remember thinking, that's really fucking cool that you like you can be a presence in people's existence that they go, oh, do you know this guy?
Oh. Well, we all are, aren't we? I mean, look at a lovely thing that you're doing with this podcast. It's, we're all we are all lucky. That is the thing. We found this thing, and it kind of threads us all together, and it's very nice. And look at where we are now. Look at this. Look how happy this cat is.
That is a very happy looking cat.
Yeah. Look at what she's done to my jumper.
Yeah, fucking destroyed it.
So there you go. That was Chris Moran. I very much enjoyed that. That was a delightful morning over the summer when he came over, and he wasn't feeling too well either, and still put in a sterling performance. So thank you very much, Chris, for doing that. I can't believe we didn't get you on season 1, given your proximity to my house at any given time. But yeah, really do appreciate you, man. So yeah, as I mentioned at the top, it's the TSA's 30th birthday anniversary. The TSA have been looking after snowboarders for 35 years now, and they show no sign of stopping. Still supporting all kind of grassroots stuff, still supporting athletes at the highest level as well. Basically, they are in it for snowboarding, and as they have been for 35 years, still as hyped on it as ever. Saw them all recently at the ski show, and then before that there was a gallery showing of a little event in Peckham where they had them and the Reason Snowboard magazine, who have also been looking after and documenting snowboarding for some time now. They put on an event where there was loads of prints from British snowboard photographers and sort of collated the best ones, put them all up in a gallery, and for a weekend sort of in October. And lovely as it was for a reason. It was, you can order prints from there now. You can, I'll stick the link in the show notes, but basically, and those prints, the sales of those prints go to supporting Calm, which is a charity Marcus Chapman has a lot to do with, from a former pro rider from the UK, Nelson Pratt. It kind of came all out of that, and I'm sure we're going to dig into that a bit more in a future episode. I'm going out to Teen in beginning of December, where I'm going to be catching up with Marcus for an episode, so hopefully we'll know more about that then. But if you want to support Calm and the work they do for mental health, then go to the show notes, find the link, go and see if there's any classic prints from British snowboarding that you might like to adorn your walls with. Maybe good for Christmas, given that that's on the horizon now too. What else have we had? Yeah, we also saw the TSA guys at the ski show, which has just gone past. The ski show, sadly, is a bit of a shadow of its former self, really. The glory days of Earl's Court and big air kickers and people doing backflips and all sorts of chaos going on, and 10 days of drinking. But it was still good to go up there and see a few people. I made an impromptu guest sort of cameo appearance on the Ep1 pod, which, if you haven't checked that out yet, it's Jenny Jones and Tim Warwood and Ollie Peart. They do a sort of fairly casual, magazine style podcast. They say they're going to do it weekly, but they're clearly not going to do it weekly, given I know how much work it is and given their past performance. But good luck to them. I hope they do it weekly. Anyway, yeah, I popped up on, I guess it'll be last week's show now from the ski show, if you want to hear me not really knowing what to say in a kind of bantery kind of fashion. I definitely do much better in these long form conversations than I do sat trying to think of funny things to say at the time. Well, and probably, as you guessed from this rambly outro, that is also the case. But yeah, the Ep1 pod, Tim and Jenny and Ollie, they're good people, snowboarders. Go and listen to that. It's good fun. It keeps you up to date with what's going on. There's useful like travel tips and all sorts of stuff like that on there. You'll find that on all platforms. We're thinking about doing some merch. If you want some sort of thank you snowboarding merch, let us know in some way about how, if you would like that. Thinking about maybe doing some t-shirts and hoodies or sweats or whatever with a tasteful little logo on it, nothing too ridiculous, and try and do them as cheaply as possible for you all. So that's something that we're thinking about doing. And stickers, obviously. Stickers. Who doesn't want stickers? Stickers are currency in my mind. We are going to try and sort that out pretty soon. The TSA, as I mentioned before, looking after snowboarders for 35 years. They have got a brand new website, which should be live now. And it's looking good, and it's got more community stuff on there, and it's all good stuff. Link in the show notes to those guys. Since we last spoke, after we put out Danny's episode at the end of last season, I went to the board test in Karnatau in Austria, which is where the industry gets together, sort of put together by the TSA and the Reason magazine, which new issue is out now as well. You get hold of a copy at any good snowboard store, or go to thereason.com. I'll put this link in the show notes. It's a beautifully packaged magazine, much better than doom scrolling while you're sat having a poo. So get a hold of a copy of the Reason magazine. But as I was saying, we went to the board test, where basically the industry gets together, tests out a load of kit. Those write-ups sort of help form the Reason magazine's sort of kit guide. And it was really good fun. Got to ride with the man Jeremy Sladen, Dave Lee, the legend that is Dave Lee. Chatted a bit to Gigi Ruff, who also saw at the ski show, surprisingly enough. Basically, Who's Who, Scofe, Will Hughes, James Stentiford, loads of people that are going to be coming up this season on the podcast. We've got 24 episodes, so 23 more after this one, and we are aiming to get to sometime in April after the British Championships, which is also coming back this year, and it's coming back to Austria, which is going to be an awesome celebration of British snowboarding. We're going to be there. We're going to I don't know, we'll try and do something cool there. Maybe a night, or maybe show some old snowboard movies, or do something. There's got to be something in it to celebrate what we're sort of doing here. But the British Champs, there'll be a link in the show notes to that as well. Go and have a look. If you want to get together with loads of other snowboarders, have a great holiday, maybe see some inspirational snowboarding in a competition, meet fellow snowboarders in the pub that night, the Brits has got to be the one. Austria at that time of year is absolutely insane. It is always good vibes, and so please do go and check that out if you're thinking about booking a trip. And I know it's a way away in April, but you don't want to miss this. It's going to be awesome. The music from this episode, Chris chose A Day in the Life, obviously by the Beatles. And it comes from J.P. Solberg's section in the Absinthe movie Transcendence, which I will put a link, I will share on our Shred Flicks, I think I've called it, thing on our YouTube channel. All these episodes are now on YouTube as well, if that's where you prefer to listen to your snowboarding or your podcasts. All the other episodes are up on our YouTube channel now, which is just youtube.com/Thank You Snowboarding. And yeah, the JP Solberg Transcendence part is a particularly memorable one. It's quite arty. It's beautifully done. Obviously, the snowboarding is sick. And a great choice of music. I mean, fucking hell, how did they get away with using the Beatles? I mean, I know Absinthe used some music that was put out by friends of mine. And I don't think they couldn't have got clearance. There's no way they could have afforded to use a Beatles track on a snowboard movie, even back then when they actually made some money out of it. But fair play to them, they did, and they created a work of art in that section. So that is something that you should go and have a look at. Again, links in the show notes. So yeah, that's it. Episode 1 of season 2, or episode 19 as it could be as well. We're back. We're doing it. Very, very happy. I've got a stacked list of guests coming at you, covering all corners of the British snowboarding culture spectrum. Some proper history in there, but also just up to date. We're going to have all sorts of people, and it's really, really exciting, having really fun conversations. This is the best job in the world. Got loads of trips planned this winter to catch up with people. Yeah, it's amazing. And don't forget to go and have a look at our Instagram as well. I think it's just Thank You Snowboarding Podcast. Already sticking stuff up there most days. I put a clip up the other day of the first triple 1620 or whatever it is landed in a half pipe, which is absolutely insane. I mean, if you fuck that up, you are dead. So the risk factor's pretty high. And when you hear him ride out, it's like the icy pipe as well. I mean, it just scares the living shit out of me, but it is pretty insane. I mean, is that what snowboarding is for you? It's not really what it is for me, but it's pretty impressive nonetheless. I mean, we are sort of heading into, I think David Benedict predicted it some years ago, kind of like a aerial skiing kind of snowboarding, and no one wants to see that, but I guess there is that aspect of it. Those guys can snowboard better than anyone has ever snowboarded in the past, and they can do these insane tricks, but they can also do the tricks you want to see amazingly well. I think as Tom Kingsnorth put it in his episode, they're going to do a front three and they'll make it look better than anyone's ever made it look before. But they can also go and chuck out a 2160 or whatever it is. So yeah, it's interesting. It's certainly interesting. And we stick stuff like that up on our Instagram if you want to go and have a look at that. All sorts of stuff going on up there. Go and have a look and a follow and all that sort of stuff. It's massively appreciated. If you are listening on this on Spotify or Apple, a review or 5 stars or whatever you want to give us is appreciated as well. Obviously, there are a few big names that we'd like to find and get on the podcast that have had an influence over snowboarding or used to snowboard back in the day or whatever it is. Obviously, the more likes and listeners and all that sort of stuff we get, the easier it is to get through bullshit management and actually get to these people. So please do me a favor, share it with your friends, share it online. Anybody that you know that has been snowboarding, that might want to go snowboarding again or snowboarded back in the day or just is a bit more curious about the scene, that would be amazing. It is appreciated, and obviously, we want to keep doing this for as long as we find interesting people. So that's the plan. I think that's it for this time. We'll be back every Thursday, 10 a.m. with new episodes. Like and subscribe, obviously, to make sure you don't miss any. And I think I've rambled on long enough. We're at the 1 hour 45 mark, so I think I'm going to let you go. All right. Take it easy. Thank you, snowboarding. See you next time. Peace.